Hello and welcome to Celebrating Simple Life. I'm Kimberly and I've been planning parties and incredible events for the past 15 years. I'm passionate about connecting people, making gatherings purposeful, and making the most out of every moment. Join me as we learn together how to find joy, celebrate the simple things in life, use events to grow your business, entertain with purpose, and have a whole lot of fun along the way. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life. I could not be more excited to let you know that Shine Summit tickets are now available. Shine Summit takes place October 1st, 2020. So you have lots of time to reflect, think about how this event might be exactly what you have been looking for. This is going to be a day that will change your life. If you are an entrepreneur or a leader in your industry, maybe you're dreaming of making changes in your life, you will not want to miss this opportunity. When you take time to invest in you, your business, it affects all the areas in your life. It benefits your family, your community, and all the relationships around you. I am literally so passionate about connecting people in ways that help them grow, and this Shine Summit is the perfect opportunity for that. I have experienced firsthand how investing in myself and in my business by attending an event such as this can absolutely change the trajectory of your life, because it has happened to me. Here's why this is powerful. Life is hard. Business is hard. And some days it honestly doesn't take much to feel like everything is going in a chaotic direction. And what is the point of putting in all of the work and effort that running a business and being a leader within your organization takes? But I'm here to tell you that Shine Summit will not only inspire you and give you all of the feels, you guys, but this Shine Summit is going to give you hands-on, tangible tools that will help directly take your life and your business to the next level. Being surrounded by like-minded individuals and those who have been in their entrepreneurial and business journeys longer than maybe you have is absolutely essential. Hearing from them, hearing their stories, hearing their mistakes, and how they're willing to share their experiences, vulnerability, and really try to help you avoid those same mistakes. We have experts from all over that are going to be coming to share their expertise and to grow together. You will be blown away by our headliner, Sarah Heron. Isn't that the girl from The Bachelor? Why, yes, it sure is. Sarah is a force to be reckoned with, and she has taken her experience of being on a public television show and putting her story out there in the world and taking her disability that she was born with and turning it into something extraordinary. She has an incredible story, an incredible business sense, and she is such an inspiring woman. And you get to hang out with her and be inspired. This summit has been created to surround you with a community of incredible women who will challenge you, help you grow and thrive, and we want to see you there. Imagine the energy, joy, and engaging lessons that you get to be a part of and incorporate those directly into your life and business in ways that are specifically tailored to you. We will be talking about leadership, marketing, social media, overcoming adversity, reinventing your business in new and unique ways. This is not the type of conference where you are just going to hear speeches and leave with a few notes. If you are struggling in finding your niche, to sell more, to organize your finances, or maybe you're even afraid to admit the things that you wish you understood in business, then this is the place for you. This is a summit where you will be challenged to be interactive, to dig deeper in order to achieve the goals that you are dreaming of. Shine Summit is being hosted in the most beautiful event space where everyone attending is there for the same purpose, to shine. These tickets are going to sell out fast, and as a listener of Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, you are the first to know. Check out shinecollective.ca for all the juicy details. The continued support support, ratings, reviews, sharing screenshots of podcast episodes that were engaging for you on your Instagram stories, and tagging friends that you think should hear the episodes too makes me so happy as I strive to connect stories of business and life in the Celebrating Simple Life community of amazing women. Today on Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, I'm chatting with Terri Sewell, owner of Spark Creations and Bookings. Terri's combination of skills plus an underlying passion for supporting charities and nonprofits helped bring Spark to life. Spark is an event marketing firm combining event management, fundraising, sponsorship acquisition, and talent sourcing. They help companies grow, charities make money, and they connect people. Spark allows Terri to stretch her wings alongside a carefully crafted team who has the power to revitalize events, inject enthusiasm, and change the industry landscape. I have had the pleasure of knowing Terri for a number of years and working with a few different members of her amazing team. Our paths have reconnected in the last couple of years when her team came on board for Cassidy's Lemonade Stand's incredible Soar for Cystic Fibrosis event in Saskatoon this past spring. Terri is an incredible human, and I feel like we can almost read each other's minds sometimes being in the same industry. She has so much valuable information and insight into how events can help you, and our conversation is so much fun, so tune in. Hello, Terri. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. I could not be more excited to chat with you today.
Well, me as well.
I think I was saying before we jumped on, I'm like, I feel like I'm talking with my doppelganger.
We work well together.
We do. So for those of you who don't know Terri, which you need to know Terri, because you and I have had our paths cross in a few different ways over the years. And now most recently, I have gotten to be kind of your client in the nonprofit sector with Cassidy's Lemonade Stand when you and your awesome team helped us coordinate our Soar for Cystic Fibrosis event.
How incredible was that event? We still use it as one of the most fun we had this past summer. So Thank you for that.
Well, it was fun, and you guys made it fun for me and our guests because it's weird being the client in an industry that you do.
Absolutely. And that was our goal, right? Is I said, I hope you have a chance to chat with the sponsors, the guests, and just relax and chill on your special night. So
I did. We enjoyed ourselves thoroughly that night.
Yes, we did. Everyone did.
Everyone did.
That's
it was
cool
so
part.
fun. So you have this amazing team. Spark is just this cool company that you have created, and it is evident that you are passionate about what you do because I can see it in your team's spirit and demeanor as well, that you clearly are all very passionate and excited about the event industry.
We are. And the one thing I think the reason behind that is just like yourself, we deal mostly with nonprofits. So we're not the typical event planning group. We don't do weddings.
Right.
We said X-nate of weddings.
Yep.
Although we love our brides and we love our grooms, we thought, you know what, let's stick with what we're great at. So we do a lot in the nonprofit sector. So in order to kind of be excited about your project, my whole team, they have the biggest hearts. So they want to raise a lot of money. They want to, increase the exposure from the nonprofit side. So it comes from a really great place. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. And let's be honest, like your event, we do a lot of fun events that we look at each other and go, we're working right now. Like we're bartending. We're, out there watching an airplane fly through the air. We're setting up like a really cool food station. Yeah, it's pretty neat to think that that's our actual job. So
I love
we're lucky.
that. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. So Spark is not always where you have been.
Right.
So I would love to hear sort of your personal story of like where you started from and how you dove in and became into the wild array of event planning.
Let me try to make it sound interesting then for you, so don't make anyone fall asleep or anything. But my background is in marketing. So I have a marketing degree from Saskatoon, and I went into sort of marketing type roles. I ended up liking, I went through the credit union system, Ralco Radio, MNP. What I always found is I loved the charity aspect. So at MNP, I love looking at the sponsorship packages that came through or talking about corporate donations and where the funds should be donated.
So you could have like maybe seen little snippets of what maybe was to come as you've like looked back and reflected.
Well, I think so. And like the fact that some marketing people cringe when a sponsorship package would come across their desk, I'd be excited about it. I'm like, oh, who's doing what? You know, like where can we better maximize our dollars to donate to a certain charity?
Yeah.
So it actually excited me.
Totally.
A little nerdy. Yeah. And then also obviously like the advertising, the marketing and the planning and the budgeting and that aspect too. But I found what really excited me was that part. Ended up meeting a gentleman. His name is Sean Devon. He lives in Saskatoon and works all across Canada now. But he came to Saskatoon. He said, I want to do a networking event. Can you help me try to find some places to be a part of or some groups to join? And he actually played volleyball. It was through volleyball that I met him.
Interesting. Which we're going to just backtrack here. This is actually the true story of how I met Terri was because my husband played volleyball with her. And so randomly, just through like little social get-togethers of the volleyball squad of your mixed team, met you and always said he actually came home one time after volleyball and was like, I really think that you would get along really well with Terri from my volleyball team. And I wasn't on the team.
Same thing about you. Yeah. And so Sean was on that same team, I think, with Jesse. And Shauna came from Vancouver. And so he's like, you know, young and into the professional world. And he's like, what are there for events that have sports? And I said, well, I can't really think of any. And he said, well, why don't we do a corporate challenge type event? So we ended up launching the Saskatoon Corporate Challenge, which would have been, I think, 8 or 9 years ago now. And we worked together on that and it went great. It's still going awesome. But yeah, that was kind of my first event planning piece, which of course has the charity aspect. Yes. So every year we have a different charity. But I was kind of doing that on the side of my desk at MMP.
Okay.
And I kind of came and it's just like we do all the time as entrepreneurs. We look at our time and go, holy, like, where is the time going? I'm not being able to dedicate my time on the things that I love. Ended up having a couple mat leaves in there, 2 little kids. And I said, something's got to change here. So I took a jump, left MNP and started the company full time with getting employees and getting some more events and that type of thing. So
wow.
It was a big change. Yeah.
That's a lot, especially your kids were young, little at the time when you're doing all of this and life is full and busy as it is. But you just felt this, did you just feel this stirring, this like feeling that you just knew that there was like something more that you were supposed to be doing?
Yes and no. I always thought I can always go back. You know, like I can try this out.
Yeah.
If I don't love it or it doesn't go the way that I think it's going to go, I can always go back and try to get a job with a bank or a marketing role because Saskatoon's quite a small center and you know a lot of people. So I felt like I'm going to give this a try. An honest effort, see where it goes, and then
that's a really interesting perspective. I feel like a lot of times with people who are either jumping into just even a new career, not necessarily even entrepreneur or starting something on your own. Either way, really, I think this applies. But interesting to think of it in that regard because I think sometimes people are like almost paralyzed by the decision.
Yes.
Like you can't make the decision as to whether or not like you have this either idea floating around that you like want to jump on, but it often maybe feels like an all or nothing. And because there are only 24 hours in a day, you obviously can't do it all. Yep. But I like how you said that because I feel like that is sometimes like it's okay to try something. You don't have to like say I'm going to do this for the next 20 years just because you're changing your mind on something.
That's
and
exactly.
You don't want to jump from thing to thing to thing and always feeling like you're never quite sure where you're going to go. But I think making many different decisions in your life is like such a healthy process.
Yes, why not, right?
Oh, I love that.
And you know you're going to learn something. That's the other piece. Like, you know that you're going to learn some valuable lessons, good or bad, along the way that'll make you better for that next role anyways. That's kind of my thought process there. And yeah, so I made the jump.
I love that. And okay, so you jumped and you immediately launched it as Spark.
No, it wasn't that nice, Kimberly. No.
I like hearing the nitty-gritties because I feel like people listening, you listen to these stories, and I do this myself too. I'm listening to a podcast or I'm reading an article or a book or whatever, and you're hearing this story, and it's like, I had this idea, and then tomorrow I woke up and everything was created perfectly and it's been happily ever after. And I'm like, hold on a second. No. There seems to be like 25,000 chapters missing in this book because
the reality is
missing.
You forgot those chapters.
Where's the reality?
The actual hard work.
Yeah. That's what I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear like what happened. What was the next step after you decided you're making a big decision?
Absolutely.
You're giving up your regular paycheck for the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing, so I still had my older company name, but one of the events I was doing were fantasy camps with Kelly Chase in Saskatoon.
So you jumped into the hockey world.
You know it. So retired NHL player. I like to say old NHL player, but he prefers I say retired.
We'll let him come and rebuttal this if he so wishes.
There you go. Have him on next. Yeah, you get quite the stories from him. But yeah, so I ended up doing an event with him in Saskatoon, and then we ended up getting a couple contracts hiring NHL players, current and retired, for speaking opportunities into the States, across Canada. We ended up doing more and more of them, and we said, you know what? Why don't we form a business together? Because I'm a books person too. So I do a lot of, as we do when we're entrepreneurs, you got to do a lot of the checks and invoicing and all that stuff. And I couldn't make it clean, right? So I said, let's do this. So we have 2 companies, one in Canada and one in the United States, where we run everything separately and by the book. But yeah, so it made sense because we grew that portfolio of our business. So then we rebranded after we kind of jumped in and said, let's do this. It's going to be super fun. We rebranded with Heather and her Rock and Bloom team, which was super fun. That's another person you should have on your podcast. She's got quite the stories. We'll tag
her in the show notes so that we can all hear about her.
Do it. Yeah, super fun. And then we ended up launching the name and building the brand from there. So it was kind of a little bit messy, I'd say, for probably a full year trying to make that transition work. And then once Heather's team came on board, gave us a plan, it was like, yeah, I skipped those chapters because they helped me with it.
Yeah, you're like, why didn't we do this a year ago?
Yeah, exactly. Right? She was saying the same thing. Yeah. She's like, I think we should chat. Right. Yeah. So, no, and then it's been honestly smooth sailing since. So,
wow, that is so great. I love that. That's such a creative, this comes back to this conversation, again, keeps coming up over and over in my world, both personally and professionally, in just figuring out a niche within your business.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done that in my 15-year career as an event coordinator, where I did start in the wedding industry, which is a lot of places where event planners naturally tend to start, just because that's one of the more forefront of marketed events that people can understand the concept of. But yeah, I love how you've niched this into now not only just the nonprofit sector, but also in a lot of ways, specifically even in the hockey world.
Yep, exactly. And we like to marry the two as well. So if we have a nonprofit client that needs a guest speaker, for example, although we're running the conference or the gala or the golf tournament, we can bring in some talent to help raise their dollar too.
Yeah.
So we can kind of marry the two of them, and it works well.
Which I've seen you do seamlessly because we did that at our SOAR event with our entertainment. Craig. Yeah, he was amazing.
He was
a blast. Everyone was talking about him afterwards. I'm like, how do we book this amazing guy to come and do cool private backyard concerts, because we want to do this again.
Absolutely. And that happens all the time with us. So it's good because we can have like a one-stop shop when it comes to that aspect.
Yeah.
We know local comedians. We know comedians that we can fly in. We know actors. Every different athlete as well, like into the football circles, golf, outside of hockey, because they all kind of hang out in the same areas, right?
Yeah.
So
you can just build the world.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? I like that. Why not?
We enjoy it.
So who would you say then? Like, I feel like you've kind of led into this whole next talent piece of it, which I think is maybe a part of the business that maybe a lot of people aren't aware that, I mean, when you call yourself an event planner, event coordinator, producer, a lot of titles for what our industry is, that's sort of a whole nother separate side of it, is being able to book the talent for that. And I think a lot of people who aren't in the event industry look at that as quite daunting. Like, how on earth do you just like know these people or like get these things? But I think that's the beauty and the mystique of the event industry, is that it is building those relationships, and it's not just about building relationships within your own tight-knit social circle. Soon as you build off of that, all of a sudden now you're connected in the States and beyond and in different places, and able to then showcase that right here in Saskatchewan, which is really cool.
It is.
So who would you say in your current repertoire of people that you have and represent or have worked with before for events would be like some of the more memorable experiences or things that have happened with the entertainers that you are dealing with?
Yeah, we have many of them. So just thinking about the hockey circles, because we were just talking about that. One of the individuals that I was super excited to work with was through the Kinsman Club of Saskatoon. They brought in Mary Lemieux. And I had read books and done a lot of research, and he's
like
a quite
one of those
quiet
names,
gentleman.
right?
Yeah, and he doesn't do speaking engagements. He hadn't done, I don't think, any prior to the one that we had asked him to come to Saskatoon because of the work that the Kinsman does and how much of an impact they have. You know, we really sold that part of it. And he came in and I was nervous.
Oh,
and
you were having like stage fright.
I was like, you know, what's he going to be? Is it going to be hard to work with? If I ask him for, you know, a couple signed autographs, which obviously were in his contract, will he get it? You know, I just didn't know. And he was the most down-to-earth individual I've ever met. Yeah, we talked about nothing to do with hockey because I couldn't keep up to the stats and, you know, nerd out on that piece.
That's right.
But we talked about like his kids and golfing and his foundation, cool things that they do in Pittsburgh. Really connected, and I learned so much just about him as a person and so much respect for him on the personal side. Obviously the professional side was there too, but he was such a pleasure to work with. And even, you know, like the client being the Kinsman Club, they just were blown away by how humble he was, and he would have done anything when he was here just to help out.
I love
so that was a cool one. Also in the hockey circles, I say my favorite human is Brian Trottier. I don't know if you're a big hockey fan or not, Kimberly, but like this guy has, you know, he has all of his Stanley Cup rings in his pocket when he comes to events, and he makes it rain. You know, like he lets you get pictures. He probably let you take it home to show to the kids, bring it back tomorrow at the next event. Like he just is incredibly kind, and his stories are just unbelievable. So he's a really good guy to work with. But I had the opportunity to meet Garth Brooks.
Garth.
Now, I don't know if you know who that is or anything.
Just a little name called Garth.
Okay, the funny thing is I met Garth's pilot before I met Garth. So I'd met his pilot because of some meetings we were doing with Teamwork, Teammates for Kids, which is a foundation which went through the Children's Hospital here.
Okay.
So we did some work with them.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to meet his pilot, and he spoke so highly of the whole team. And he said, you know what, I've been with Garth since day one. And a lot of my staff has. That's just speaks to how incredible of a human Garth Brooks is. Like once you're in his circles, he takes care of you. Like everyone loves him. And when I met him, which was super brief, and I had a tear in my eye, I was so embarrassed. I've never been like that with anyone else. I couldn't believe he was in front of me. You know, he's one of those people that...
It's like almost like an out-of-body experience a little bit, where you know they're just a regular person. But... No. It's like, well, and you know them and they don't know you. Like, you feel like you know their inner details of their life.
Yeah, I know you've had a few of these. I know you've been in those celebrity circles where you've met a lot of cool actors too, which is a whole nother thing.
It's a whole nother conversation.
But I remember thanking him. I'm like, thank you so much for being here. And he looked at me and goes, well, thank you for being here. And I'm like, why is he thanking me?
I'm confused, Garth.
Are you kidding? Like... I'd do anything to meet you. So that was pretty cool.
I have heard that about him as well, just from people that have even had like backstage things to his concerts and service providers who have been the ones doing things in like dressing rooms or like different things, that he's just this lovely human. Doesn't that just make you love him so much more?
Yes.
When you like hear these, like the pilot could have very easily dished probably a lot of juicy stories.
Oh, are you kidding?
For sure.
Can you imagine?
But for him to be speaking so highly and respectful, that says a lot.
It's pretty cool.
I love that. So what would you say was sort of, I know you alluded to this at the very beginning of the conversation about how you have your business in Canada and your business in the United States. So what would you say was, I mean, obviously with hockey and with sports, that's kind of a given that you would be needing to enter into the United States as well. Yes. Hockey obviously is very dominant here in Canada, but in order to have a well-rounded approach to the events and the people that you are bringing in for things, obviously the United States is chock filled with incredible people as well as Canada. So how did that initially come to be in order for you to take that leap in order to branch out into the United States as well?
There were a few, and honestly, it just came organically. Like we do a fantasy camp here in Saskatoon, and we sort of modeled it, and we do one in Nashville. It's quite similar, obviously different because we work with the Nashville Predators, and it's an NHL team, and we deal with their alumni, and it's Nashville, which is a little bit of a different city than Saskatoon.
It is.
for a few different reasons. So we basically took our model that we knew was working here and kind of plunked it into their market, did a few tweaks, and we do a hockey fantasy camp there for adults, and we raised over $100,000 the first year. Wow. US for charities, and it felt amazing. We had no idea how we do. So again, we kind of knew what we were doing. We took the model and just plunked it in there. It worked. So we're on year 3.
Wow.
Going to year 3 here in January.
You asked this before. The answer is no. I do not know a lot about hockey, and I will just shamelessly admit it. That's just how it is, right? You don't have to know everything about it just to be in the industry. But for people that don't know, I have learned from you what some of these things are. But for listeners that are listening and who don't know, what exactly is a fantasy hockey camp? And if somebody was wanting, in my mind, I immediately think, oh, fun. This sounds fun for kids. But you're like, this is an adult event. Yeah. And it sounds amazing and fun. So how would somebody in Saskatoon or in Nashville or anywhere in between get involved if they were like, okay, this sounds like right up my alley. How do I get involved in being a part of these cool events with these amazing people? Well,
it really is. Until I did the first year, I had no idea either. Kimberly, I forgot to get pucks. Year 1. Kelly Chase, I did. Kelly Chase is like, where are the pucks? I'm like, pucks? Oh, right. Ice was booked, beer was chilled, jerseys were
that is the best thing pucks, I have heard.
Right? So I didn't grow up playing hockey either, but you think I would know to have pucks. Right. But that was the one thing that was missed that first year. Lesson learned. Mm-hmm. Now we have a lot of pucks. Yeah. But basically, anyone of age, so 19 or older here, 21 or older in Nashville, can register as an individual or for a team of 14.
So do you have companies that register?
Yep.
Okay.
We have some really awesome companies that support both of our events, even out of Alberta, some in Saskatchewan, into BC, into the States. So we have companies from all over that fly here to Saskatoon or that fly to Nashville to have their team in the tournament. Yeah. It's not, we keep score, but we don't keep track of wins and losses.
So how is the length of the event? Is it a 1 day?
It's a 3-day. It's the first night we do a draft where we'll have about 30 to 40 NHL players, current and retired. Guys like Brett Hull, Mike Keane, Brian Trottier, who I talk about. Yeah. All different types of players come, and then you actually draft them to play on your team with you.
Cool.
Yeah. More importantly, you draft them to hang out with you in the dressing room in between games with Budweiser
this is
beer.
So much more than...
We had a gentleman who registered his team, his company, and he couldn't skate. He was the captain. So that kind of gives you an idea.
Was that the same week that you forgot the pucks?
Yeah, that was the same time. He's like, that's okay. I don't even know how. I didn't even bring my skates.
Oh, my word. I love it.
But, yeah, that's how much fun it is, though. Whether you skate or you've skated every day of your life or not at all, just hearing the stories and catching that pass from an Adam Oates or a Brian Trottier or Brett Hall.
What an experience. Come on, right? You're just there hanging with the greats.
That's it.
So how does it determine then from Saskatoon to Nashville... if this is a charity event, how is it determined? Is it always the same charity, or how does that work?
No, we change charities every year, so depending on the needs. So in Saskatoon, for 2 years in a row, we raised money for Optimist Hill, and then we donated $100,000 last year at the grand opening to sponsor the lights on the Optimist Hill. Whereas in Nashville, we have a great relationship with the Predators and the Predator Foundation. So the foundation helps us to dictate where the funds go. So they have a direct tie into their community where their needs go. And then from Spark side in the US, we also took some of our funds that went towards staffing, and we donated over $30,000 to an arena, a kids team, and a few other smaller charities, because the event went off better than we thought it was going to, so we had the opportunity then to give back more.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we just pick different charities on needs. Yeah. So whether it's a children's hospital or One Voice, which was an event that we held in Saskatoon here for mental health. So depending on kind of what's going on, we pick and choose, and
that's amazing.
It's fun.
I love that. I feel like that is shows such a different side of... I obviously, being in the event industry, reference back to how events can grow your business, how they can bring joy to your life, there's just so many ways that an event, and to me an event is anytime there are 2 or more people together. Yeah. That is an event.
Absolutely.
You are together and you are connecting and you are doing things, and it doesn't need to be $1 million gala in order to be calling an event, right?
That's right.
So I love how you're showing sort of the give back, and how something can be really incredible, but that it can also give back. And obviously, as you're aware, that's super important to me as well. So, I love that.
Yeah.
So what would, besides, so these hockey camps, probably like new and wild things happen every time you have them, I'm sure. And while maybe the template of them is a similar kind of type of layout, I'm sure just depending on who's there and the different participants, it's always a very unique experience.
Yes, it is.
Surrounded by lots. So are there female teams that put in as well, or is this just like a male event?
Well, good question. We have had females that have registered. Not a full. I'm still looking for that full female team to really switch.
I need to hook you up. I'll. My good friend is going to be listening to this, and we're going to connect on this because that would be my insight into the hockey world. They put in a female team in a local tournament here every year, and they're the only ones, and that's like their claim to fame. And they are amazing women.
Yes,
I love that.
We had a few females that have registered and played on a predominantly male team, and they're just blown away because again, it's the stories, right? And the hockey that in our event, it's not about the goals at all. So no matter what your playing level, if you just started playing or you've been playing for 40 years,
or you're lacing everyone up your skates for the first time,
no, which has happened. Yeah, so you're on even playing field, and it doesn't really matter. Everyone has a ton of laughs and
it's going for a good cause, and you're just experiencing something so unique
that you can't normally get, right?
And I love that. That's honestly, if there was like one thing that I would repeat over and over that has been a lesson to me being in the event industry for this amount of time, is that there's always something to celebrate. And sometimes if things are going super rocky or crappy in life and just you feel like you're in this like downhill of things maybe just not working out the way you had anticipated them to go, that there's always something to celebrate. And it can be something super little, and sometimes finding unique experiences and new things to do can just tweak your brain in big and small ways to kind of change your outlook and change new things coming back to you as well.
Holiday season can feel so full, even with so many amazing things on the go. It just sometimes feels like too much. As a working mom, I often struggle to find the time and balance to cook healthy, home-cooked meals that will fuel my family and myself and not leave me feeling overwhelmed. It takes a lot of time to plan, shop, prep, and cook healthy dinners. I'll admit, I was skeptical when I signed up for the Good Food Box. I had tried out a promo code that I had seen online, and I told myself I would just try one box to check it out. Well, 6 weeks later, I am hooked. From the first step of clicking to order and then receiving the fresh ingredients and step-by-step recipes, it has all been seamless and easy. My mind has been cleared from the daily struggle of what's for dinner and knowing that my meals will arrive on my doorstep each week unless I choose to skip a delivery, which, by the way, I can do as often as I want. We will be away for a little bit over Christmas, and I've already been able to skip the weeks that I need to, and I've skipped a few until the new year so that I'm ready to go. You can even cancel your subscription at any time. There's really no risk. There are so many recipe suggestions, or you can make it even easier, and I just let the team at Good Food decide what meals are going to come to me each week. They're curated, delicious, restaurant quality meals. And the best part is that my daughter, Cassidy, who's 11, has been able to make a lot of the meals by herself. I have come home after a day at work, and she has been able to follow the amazing, colorful, easy to follow recipe cards and instructions. I cannot say enough good things about the Good Food Box. And as a special offer for Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast listeners, you can get $40 off your first box. Click the link in the show notes to receive your discount code and make the most of your time this holiday season. $40 off your first Good Food Box with the link in the show notes. Cheers to celebrating today.
What would you say, beyond the fantasy camps and other things you've done, what would you say would be some of the most like memorable events or experiences that have happened within an event as a whole, that have happened to you in the time that you've been running Spark and all of the crazy things? I mean, you and I could probably like write an extensive book with
notes about
millions of chapters. I've talked about this for years of like writing down all of the wild things that happen from
It's crazy.
The big, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, something that comes to mind on a positive note, just thinking of something that comes out of maybe a tragedy, was when we worked with the Humboldt Broncos with the Humboldt Bronco tribute concert that we helped with. So we joined forces with an ex-NHL player, Troy Volhofer out of Nashville, Country Thunder. They put on Country Thunder, and we held a country concert, and we worked with Haley Wickenheiser and Colby Armstrong and our team, and we all donated our time, and we had 10,000 people show up to the concert. I'm not sure if you heard about that one
that is
Sesto
amazing.
Center. Yeah, and raised over $400,000 for the families affected. So that one, our team brought in 40 current and retired NHL players to meet with the families, the 29 affected families. We did a private dinner, and they had the opportunity just to kind of pay their respects to the families, the NHL players did, and just tell them that they understand a little bit of what they're going through in terms of the upbringing, but certainly not what they're dealing with. Yes, itself. But that seemed to go over positively in terms of healing and helping that aspect just a little bit. So that was kind of turning obviously a huge tragedy that was felt all over the world into something hopefully a little bit more positive on the healing side. So our team was really proud about that. We ended up the opportunity to go to the CCMAs and accept an award because of that event. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, in terms of things that come to mind with events, like you say you could write a book, but I would never want to publish it because people would read it and be like, what?
That's right.
That happened at my event. You know, like I deal with Cheryl at Reed Saskatoon or Chantel from Classic Law, two amazing charities here. And they'd be like, that happened at my event.
Totally.
There was really a leak in the roof that you finally got it mopped up an hour before the gala opened. Yeah, maybe that happened.
Did it happen? Did it not happen? I guess we'll never know.
Exactly. And oh, what? Someone's flight was actually canceled and we had to, find other ways of getting them here. No one knew a thing, right? So
that's the beauty. That is like my
of it.
favorite part about this industry.
That's what makes you so good at it, though, because you've thought through what could possibly go wrong. So when it does, it's like perfect. Plan B, here you come.
Ready on it. Now I get to actually use the plan.
C. Yeah, I thought of that already. So
I've never made it to plan Z. So thankfully, think close. But thankfully, we've never had to get that far. But that's the thing. I think
the beauty
people
of
ask me all the time. They're like, "How do you handle the stress of these projects?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not like these things are like in life when something catastrophic happens. Obviously, we're not all planned A to Z because you can't plan the end goal of your life.
Nope,
the event exactly right. has an end goal. You can see this big picture and you can see what all has to happen along the way. So you're already you're not living doom and gloom, wondering when the next catastrophe is going to happen. However, the backups are all there. Everything's laid out. Everything's in order. And you just know that it's pretty much a snap of the fingers. Yeah. Some are more stressful than others and it doesn't feel that calm in the moment sometimes. But when you've successfully pulled off a chaotic situation and you look around and everybody's still having a good time and enjoying themselves, I'm like, yes.
It's high five.
Yes, that's my inner success where it's it's not about anything else for me. The success means that I have gotten a client from what they asked for, brought it to fruition. Doesn't mean that there wasn't 50,000 extra things that happened along the way that they do or don't know about.
Yep.
But it happened. And it feels so good.
It does. See, I get energy from that as well. So when there's no pucks, I get excited.
That's why we're doppelgangers.
Yeah, I know. You're going to love this. This is just a really short story, but second year of one of the fantasy camps, the power went out at the rink.
Oh my
word. Which ice starts melting in summer when the power goes out. And I was like, well, that's neat. We don't have ice
so now
for
what?
Hockey. That's awesome.
No
do we do
puck,
shinny?
no ice.
Yeah. Do we do shinny or something outside? I don't know. Do we flip it to golf? We can flip it to golf.
Totally.
We can do that.
Yeah.
But you just start thinking. But I was like, we won't have ice. Which would be very interesting, but
it would be. Well, and it is. You're totally right. What seems like an absolute stressful situation, you're right. I totally get energy from that. I'm listening to this right now, being like, how do we solve this problem?
I know, right? You're so what'd you do? Did you book another venue? Did you do that there?
Yeah.
And it's all hands on deck, and you just figure it out, right?
Totally.
And it's having the right team around you that appreciates, you know what, like Brett on my team, who we had the opportunity to meet, he is the most calm individual you've ever met. You know, like if there's a fire, he might get excited, but everything else, he's like, hey guys, that's okay. We got this. We can do this, or we can do that, or this is gonna work out even better. Or he's like our calming soul, and our whole team's kind of like that at different situations. Yeah. But yeah, it's everyone coming together and being like, okay, who's got the best idea here, and run with it.
Well, so totally. And how you like deal with stress, because there are moments where I don't know if it's just dependent on the day or dependent on what's going on in my life outside of the event that day. Like maybe my kids missed the bus and I was already stressed before getting to my client's project, whatever the case, doesn't matter what it is. But there's days where I can feel for myself that I haven't necessarily handled, that I maybe feel like I have the capacity to handle it better than others. So when you know that you have the right people around you, where you're like, I don't got this right now. I'm needing you to like step up here and give me your ideas, everyone.
And run with the best one.
That's right. And run with the best one. And really, at the end of the day, sometimes being a good decision maker isn't necessarily having the best idea, but being like, how do you methodically get this idea from A to Z?
Absolutely.
Properly execute it.
Yep. I know. And again, that's what makes it fun.
Totally.
You know.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
Me too.
Oh, I just love this. Okay, I could honestly talk to you we'll have to do like regular episodes here, because we could talk about so many things. And maybe, just maybe, we'll do anonymous. Do you remember like when this happened at this event? We won't like throw it out there, but it's so juicy and interesting.
Names.
Not use names. And nothing like too catastrophic.
And you could have like maybe 4 or 5 event planners around and be like, you know, do you think that's bad? Yeah, listen to this
the
one.
round table of event planners. Okay, event planners, you who are listening, get ready.
I would have no examples to give because everything goes so smoothly, Kimberly.
Right.
Everyone would
be like, oh, how much do I share?
That happened to you? Really? I had no idea.
Yeah. This is getting good. Okay, this is getting me a whole lot of ideas.
That could be fun.
So I would love to, before we finish off here, I love hearing the juicy details of Terri's life and what's going on. Very juicy. Yeah, you live such a glamorous life, Terri.
I do. Yeah.
So yeah, isn't that just the common like misconception? I was just talking about that with somebody else. I think I even talked about it live on another episode where I'm like, oh yeah, like how glamorous it is to be an event planner. Because I started in the industry right as the Jennifer Lopez wedding planner movie was out to the world. So
that's
course,
what it's like, right?
100%. Yeah. And I probably actually wanted to be a wedding planner after seeing that movie, being like, yes, sign me up.
I can do that.
I can do this. Matthew McConaughey? Yes, please. Just kidding, honestly.
Sort of kidding,
sort of kidding, not kidding. I mean, if Matthew was here right now, let's be honest, this would be a great episode. Yeah. But yeah, like there's these misconceptions of what, being at an event sounds like you're going down a red carpet. Obviously, we always joke, like, we're the help. Like, we're the service providers wearing our yoga pants until it's absolutely necessary to put on some semblance of a gown where you're literally in the bathroom dabbing your armpits with paper towels because you have literally been sweating buckets
all day for
12 straight hours.
All day. Yeah. Isn't that the funniest?
That's maybe too much information, but
it's true. Truth. And you pack the outfit based on, what you can change into quickly, what might get wrinkled when it's in that bag for 12 hours.
Can this underwear set actually work under the yoga pants and under the dress? Because it's not changing.
And what are you doing to the face? It's like, you know what? I had makeup on. Like, I think I sweated all off.
12 hours ago, this sort of felt like a face.
This hair was together, I swear.
Yeah. Little dry shampoo, little zhuzh.
And you're ready to go.
Fresh.
But we're all the same, right?
It is. And again, it's having your tickle trunk of tricks where you're like, you know what? It's like rags to riches. How do you pull this off as seamlessly as possible?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
So what would you do? So on a regular day when we aren't sweating for 12 straight hours in our yoga pants, what would you do in your day? I know you have young kids as well. You have 2 kids, and mornings can be hectic in all of our households.
Colorful.
Very colorful. Yeah. So what would you do in the morning that sets your tone for the day? What do you do? Because this is a stressful, I can speak to you career to career here because we do a similar job, but
it's a stressful industry.
Yeah.
Like you're
never
on
know.
call, you never know what's going to come up. Obviously these emergencies don't put themselves out, so
No.
you kind of have to be ready. So how do you preserve your mental space and start your day to feel clarity each morning?
Yeah, there's two things that I do. One is Starbucks. I hate to say it. I know
what? That's a
maybe
very
everyone
honest
says that,
answer.
but
No, that's the
drop
first-
off the kids, go grab to me it sets the tone for the
So
day
is it
too.
like the actual like
It's
habitual
going
piece
yes
of
it
it?
is. It's going there, it's walking in, it's saying hi to everyone there, and I grab
They're
my
all
cup.
happy to see you.
They're all
happy.
just me, right?
Yeah,
Not
just you.
everyone.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, totally. And then that to me that kind of sets the stage for the day, and it means I'm ready. I'm like you. I go through my to-do list. But the one thing that I love, and I don't know if I do it more about before I go to bed, but I love starting each day fresh. So my favorite day of the week is Mondays, if you can believe it. So lots of people don't like Mondays like Fridays. I love a fresh week.
So do I.
Imagine that. Hey?
But it's because you're prepared for it.
Exactly. And it's structure, and I know what I want to accomplish in the week. So to me, I get energy from setting my intentions, and no matter what happened the day before, I know I'm starting fresh. So whereas, sometimes in the afternoon on a Wednesday, something might not go great, every morning you reset.
Yes.
And it's up to you whether or not you want to have a good day. I learned that from a friend about 3 or 4 years ago. She's like, you're creating your destiny every single morning. I think that's really cool. So no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what, it's up to you to decide what your day is going to be like. So to me, and I talk to my kids a lot about that too, is just, starting every day fresh. No matter what happened the day before, you can start from scratch.
Well,
and
it's
that's why I love
interesting
Mondays.
because this morning, for instance, was a bit of a gong show in
No.
the household. Can you believe that there would
Never.
ever be a gong
With
show here?
kids?
With kids, where
Oh, sure.
how could you even
Didn't
ever predict
go as
that?
planned?
Somehow my A to Z plan works really, really well for events, and I can put out wild, horrendous fires. But something with the kids, it's I think the life lesson that I'm supposed to keep being taught over and over and over again is that you just can't control everything and what's going on around. So it's one of those things where there will be days where, today being one of them, where they miss the bus, it's a little chaotic. I feel like this
Yep.
before
You can feel it.
the day has kind of even really began. And there are days where it gets me more than others, where I'm like, I feel so thrown off now. I don't even know how to press reset to start this again, because I've probably lost my temper on the kids because I'm frustrated that the day is not going the way that it is, and vice versa. Where there's many days, because you're always learning, right? Where I'll be driving them to school, and I'll say, you know what, girls? We got to reset this.
Yeah.
Mommy did not mean the tone and the ways that things happen. This is not how I intended to start the day. I am human. I am sorry. Can you forgive me that I lost my temper? What do you think we could do tomorrow to make this better? And now we're letting it go. We will sometimes roll down the windows and be like,
Yeah. But what a good thing to teach the kids.
I hope so.
Right? Oh,
I hope so.
absolutely it is. Because that's reality. We're all human, and we all get upset over certain things when they're not going as quickly as they're supposed to in the morning.
Us planners.
I nicknamed my girl this morning. Nicknamed her Molasses. I'm like, okay, Molasses, get moving. She can be the slowest toothbrusher that you've ever seen. Or can it take you 5 minutes to put on a pair of socks? It can take her 5 minutes to put on a pair of socks. Because then she takes up, readjusts, and it's like, we're going to be late for school, right? But it's the same thing. And we do it before we go to bed with the kids. And I say to them, no matter what happened today, we're starting fresh in the morning. That's what's so cool about life, is we get to start over.
I love that.
So I think you do that with your kids too, whether it's on the way to school or whether it's on the way home from school or whatever.
Well, I think just owning it.
Need it.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Just owning it.
Not everything's perfect all the time.
No.
No.
And to me, the only mistake is made is if you just don't own it.
Yeah.
If you don't own it and you're like, nope, did nothing wrong, nothing to see here, I can treat people the way I want to treat them. And that to me is the only way that could turn into a failure.
Yeah. And they're always learning at that age too, right? Even as the age of your children in comparison to mine, is they're always learning. And that's our only job really as moms, right? Is to love and to teach and to keep them safe and a roof over their head. But what a great lesson.
So, okay, so you start your day.
Okay,
We're like,
sorry.
totally, no, you and I could just go down a
Starbucks,
rabbit hole.
yes.
That's like, I appreciate your thoughts on that because it really takes a village, doesn't it, this life? Okay, so you're in Starbucks. You've like taken your breath in Starbucks. What did you order in Starbucks is the real question.
And we judge based on our orders. I know. And you know what? My best friend Heather laughs because her order, I'm like, can you just order your own? Because like, I don't know. I'm embarrassed with your order. The fact that you're extra sweet
order.
Or no, extra hot, like the extra hot. No, mine, I do a vanilla latte, half sweet, non-fat, which is fine. That's not too needy.
No. Yeah.
Or a caramel macchiato. Again, half sweet, non-fat. What's your order again?
I am just a basic like cappuccino or latte or Americano misto, no sweetener, no nothing. I mean, I'm a sweets girl, don't get me wrong. I love me some sweets, but probably a decade ago, I stopped putting any sweetener into my coffee and I slowly added a little bit more milk or cream to make the conscious effort to release the sugar out of it. Because I was a caramel macchiato, not half sweet, full on. That would have been my usual drink when I first entered the adult world of Starbucks. That was mine
too. That was at Rolco Radio every morning. That's what I had.
And it sounded fun to say. Like, I'll have a caramel macchiato, please. I feel like people say that in the movie. Yep. So I was like, oh, that's what I should order too.
But
then you look at how much sugar's in it. And now, to be honest, I've been trying to be more mindful of my other sugar consumption.
Yep.
I'm trying to be mindful of it and I let myself have treats, but maybe just not every single day anymore, trying to be mindful as you get older, right? But now to treat myself, I would never order a caramel macchiato. I would never even order something with 1 pump of sweetener. That doesn't taste good to me anymore. It's literally reversed into my, even though I love
But good for you though.
That's
I'm just trying to get to be
just
more
gone.
like you, you know?
Well, and
like
exciting thing, the other day when I was in Starbucks, got to meet the president.
I may have noticed that in your Insta feed.
Yeah, this is like...
So, man, what was he like?
Awesome.
Like you would anticipate of a Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean, okay, everyone was like messaging me on my Instagram the day that this happened.
So
they're like, how did this happen? How did you even know he was the president? I'm like, I didn't. I am not so into... I go to varieties of coffee shops around our beautiful city because there's so many beautiful local shops to go to. And... the Starbucks are locally owned here in Saskatoon as well, even though they are an international company. So I go to lots of different places. Just so happened that I needed to be, I just needed to be out of my house and I just wanted to go out. I work from home, needed to go out, go inside. And there was a mass chaos of excitement going on in the Starbucks that I went into. So I was like, this is interesting. There were people just sitting on their laptops and working and it was fine, but there was a palpable energy when I walked into the Starbucks where they're always very friendly in the Starbucks and they always say hello and goodbye as you enter and leave. I haven't heard that in a lot of the other Starbucks, but this one does. This is the one at Preston. And I'm like, oh, so I go and the guy's like, what, can I take your order today? He was super friendly, just lovely. And tell him my order because I was going to stay there for a bit. So I, of course, ordered some omelet bites to eat as well as my coffee, just get my protein in. And I just kind of whisper, I'm like, what's going on in here? You guys are all really excited. And I'm never scared to ask.
No.
What if they don't want to tell me, they don't have to tell me. But people were snapping photos. There was obviously something going on. It wasn't a mystery to anybody. And he's like, see that guy over there? I'm like, he's the president of Starbucks. I'm like, really? The president of Starbucks Canada. Yeah. He had never been to Saskatoon before, ever. And happened that was one of the locations in Saskatoon that he was visiting on his he's from Toronto, Western tour. And I happened to walk in at he was there for 5 minutes, they said.
Really?
He was only there coming in, saying hello, and leaving. And it just so happened to be right as I popped in there. So of course, I'm like, I'm not going to miss an opportunity.
Can I get a picture?
That's what I said. And it was obvious that he was somebody, but none of the other patrons seemed to be bothered by this. But I jumped up as he was walking out. I'm like, now or never, Kim. Now or never.
Do it.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, hi. I
heard that you're the president of Starbucks. Welcome to Saskatoon. And just like had a nice little conversation. We're connected
you.
on LinkedIn now. You know what?
Of course you are.
You just never know.
That's you, though, in a nutshell. That story defines your personality.
And you know what?
And how great things happen
how great
to
things
people.
happen.
Yes.
You have to just
That's
be
cool.
willing to
You never
like,
know that's going to take you,
never know.
right? You never know.
Yeah. Are you and I going to team up and do an event for Starbucks Canada? Who knows?
I think we
Maybe.
should.
Yeah.
We
might
should.
have to reach out after this. But yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Again, another rabbit hole as I keep asking you your coffee order. But yeah, so just so you know, I'm friends with the president.
Yeah,
from
just
Starbucks.
besties.
Besties.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm excited to ask you this next question because I've had a few interesting answers to this, but I feel like in your profession, this could get super creative. What is something that you like have in your purse day to day that might seem completely random to other people, but it's like always in your purse?
Okay. Again, two separate answers. So my laptop bag, which is at every event, I always have Sharpies. Black, silver, gold for signing purposes. So with a lot of our events, people want
Brilliant.
signatures or that. So people always laugh when I don't have any pens in my bag and I just have
The
black
trifecta
Sharpies to take
of
notes.
Sharpies.
Like why do you have Sharpies in your, like, every color? And I'm like, well, it's just partially that. But in my purse, on a non-work related, I carry around pictures the kids drew for me. Each of my kids. So they like art or whatever, and it's not, I have pictures of them in my purse too, but more so I promised the kids that everywhere that I went, I would take these pictures. So every once in a while they switch them out or add something to them.
Oh my goodness.
And they're getting quite ragged, but yeah, I carry around
that
pictures.
is so, it just makes you happy when you see
It
them in
does
there.
make me happy.
I love that.
Just little.
I might start doing that. I use my kids as little art snippets as bookmarks.
I like that idea too.
So when I'm traveling and I am away or something, I mean, they're always on my night table. So even just seeing like a little snippet of their
Throw it in.
art. Some of the ones that I still use are from when they were really little and their art was so terribly cute. But yeah, use it and they've written their name on it and their little scroll and it's so cute. And then when I'm traveling, I'm like reading my book and it's like, I love you, mommy. Or something they'll write on the back of their art because that's what they do.
Yeah, and it'll always spelled incorrectly at my kids' age. But yeah, even my makeup bag. I have stuff in my makeup bag because you always travel with your makeup bag, and so I have.
That is such a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it just happened because it was super untidy in the bathroom. And I just shoved them in there, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a really cute idea. Because I don't think I would have intentionally done that.
Yes.
But yeah, I even have stuff from my niece too, from when she was a baby. So weird, but
I like that.
Yeah,
okay, well,
different.
that's a great tip for the day. I'm going to reflect on that and see where else I can
and
put
your bookmark
little
idea. I kind of like that too. Yeah.
So what is, so your Starbucks is definitely a way that you like self-care,
Yep.
which I think a lot of people have a misconception as to what self-care is and how it doesn't need to be anything grandiose. It could be just waking up and making yourself a special coffee at home. It doesn't have to be doing anything. But what would you say is something that you do just for yourself, for self-care, to kind of just keep you feeling rejuvenated when you have a busy schedule and busy life like everybody? I love hearing these like little tips because I think there's 1 billion ways that this could be done.
Well, I will also take tips because I know that I am not that great at this aspect of my life. Other months I'm better. This month I haven't been that great at that part. But one thing that I do for myself is exercise. I know that's a staple answer probably everyone gives, but to me it's something that maybe isn't done with my kids. So it's just for me, volleyball is a perfect example. But it's not always about the activity. It's about who I'm doing it with. So if it's, badminton or I love ping pong, I'm a nerd. I like ping
I love
pong,
that.
little things like that. And to me, it's who you're doing it with, sharing a laugh. It's better than always just going out for drinks, which again, I love, but it's something that keeps you a little bit active. So volleyball, we always laugh. We have no idea what the score is, but I now know everything that's happening with Paige's kids, what's happening with Chantel at work, what's Jess's new story, at her workplace. So we chat the whole time and play a little bit of volleyball while we're at it. So it's like a girls get together.
But doing something.
But we're doing something. Yeah, that feels a little bit good at the end of the day.
I love that. Well, and I was talking with another guest about this as well, and they do dancing like lessons and different things, which I thought was super creative. But I think it's so easy to get complacent especially as you grow up. And I mean, we see our children having fun doing the most ridiculous of things, and that brings them joy. And I somehow along the way, it just seems like it's so easy to lose
that sense of you just feel so much responsibility, I guess, for the things that are going on that you just don't make time for it.
Well, a lot of it's your to-do list.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that you're similar to me in terms of wanting to get that to-do list hammered out. And you know you have 12 things you need to do today. So sometimes I'll add that into my to-dos. So I don't know if you do that.
Yeah.
But when I know I'm going to put it off because it's not a client, which seems to be number one normally, then I'll keep on putting it off. Some days it was easy as eating lunch. I know you get those days too.
Yes.
Where you'll go to pick up the kids and you're like, man, I'm lightheaded. Why? I forgot to eat lunch today.
100%.
Right?
It's so true.
So, because if you don't put it in there, and again, your head's down, or you're going from meeting to meeting, and it's just not priority, you won't do it. So,
well, and that's kind of the beauty of technology a little bit. Technology obviously has its pros and its cons, but I walk 4K every morning. And
Really?
I go out, and I'm a tall person, so my strides are quite long. So I'm probably lightly jogging to some people. And I am in my snowsuit because it's cold outside, and I detest winter, which is a real testament to my faithfulness in walking. I started just over a year ago, and started in the dead of winter because that's the worst time for me here. And I was like, if I can do this in the dead of winter, then the rest of the year should feel easier. And it did. And I mentally tricked myself into making myself go do it. And I make sure that I wake up in the morning and I put on the gear that I am going to be walking in first.
So that you can't get out of it.
So that it's laid out and it's there, so that I'm not like, oh, where are those exercise pants? Where is that sweater? It's just right there. And it's the easiest thing for me to choose.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and I'm wearing my gear while I make the kids' lunch and while I get things ready to go. And sometimes, more recently, I've just left before they're old enough to be home by themselves. So different than for some people. But I leave, and either my husband takes over or they manage themselves. And we've made the new agreement. If you miss the bus, you walk.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And I get to just leave.
So you're a multitasker. So do you listen to podcasts when you're out there? Are you on your phone? Are you walking, answering emails on your phone? Or is it just you looking around, maybe some music, and just taking in the day?
It is either music or total silence or listening to a podcast. Yep. Never.
On your phone.
Yeah, listening to bills. It also sometimes is a phone call with my besties who live far away. Yeah.
So not work-related, personal.
That's right.
Again.
That's right. So it's like an easy way to get in, like a 45-minute phone conversation. One of my besties commutes to work a little bit, so it sometimes simultaneously lines up with her commute to work while I'm walking, and that to me feels like, hanging out with my gal pals is therapy.
100%.
So having that happen on my walk, but no, definitely not responding to text messages, not emails, not work-related. Sometimes the podcasts I'm listening to will be like business topical. But I'm not doing anything with that information besides just listening to it. But it's definitely just going. Oh, it's
especially here.
I feel off now on the weeks that I miss days and do stuff, and I try to very much schedule my day to make that fit in unless it absolutely can't.
Okay, you're making me feel I should be walking to Starbucks at least. Yeah. I don't know, because I'm not changing that.
Hey, listen, we should live closer, because then I would definitely add Starbucks into my route.
I know.
So to close, what would be sort of one, you've given me so many nuggets of things that I'm going to reflect on after this. What would be one piece of advice or one something that if you could just throw it out there to the world for people to listen and say, go with your day, friends?
My thing, so personally and professionally, is surround yourself with people that you love. So if you don't enjoy your job, it might be the people that are around you. So if you don't enjoy a certain circle of friends or a certain individual, just don't be around them anymore. If they don't energize you and make you more positive and have you more positive outlook on life, why are we around those individuals? So whether it's social media, stopping following people, which I do all the time, if I don't if they're not very upbeat and positive, I kind of question why I'm following them or reading their Instagram posts and that type of thing. So for me, I had the ability to build my team from a work standpoint with amazing people with huge hearts. So it's so easy to work with them. So that's, I guess, a very long-winded tip, but I think surround yourself with people that you love. And I think the world is such a better place if you do that. And we all have the ability, I think, to do that.
Yes.
Some things are just harder to change in life.
It takes courage.
It does.
It takes courage to even unfollow somebody on Instagram because
Yeah.
you worry what the ramifications could
What
or
they're going
could
to
not
think
be.
of it or what. But I think you need to think about yourself sometimes first in those situations. And yeah. And that's what life is about, is people that we meet.
I love that. I love that. I couldn't
cheesy,
agree
but-
more. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel about you. So thank you
You
so
too.
much for talking with me today. You are just a light everywhere you go, and I'm so excited for our paths to continue to cross.
You and me both, and I look forward to more projects working together. And yeah, I look forward for having me.
Thank you.
This show would not be possible without you, my incredible listeners. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to Celebrating Simple Life wherever you listen to podcasts. If you really want to make my day, leave a review. Each week, I will pick one review that will be read on the show, and the person who left that review will receive a special gift from me. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life.